This episode of Bullet Heaven HD was made possible by We've gotten crap for G.Rev and G.Rev, haven't we? Both of them? Yeah, what's it gonna be? F it. This episode of Bullet Heaven was made possible by G.Rev. All the way back in episode 36 of Bullet Heaven HD, we took a look at G.Rev's Strania the Stella Machina, a Yoko-oriented vertical shooter with more than a passing resemblance gameplay-wise to a little 1998 PS1 title called Einhander. As an XBLA title with little to no hype at the time, I came away pretty surprised with how fun Strania ended up being, and it scored rather high despite an actual numeric not even existing at the time. Fast forward 4 years, G.Rev has finally seen fit to release its very first game to Steam. Strania is an awesome choice for G.Rev's debut PC title, and while we've already looked at it before, we had technical limitations at the time, so the time is definitely right to check out this fantastic title the way it was meant to be seen. Strania is a pretty straightforward title when it comes straight down to it. Typical 8-way control gets players around the screen in a pretty swift fashion, comparatively speaking. The 3D cross marker shows where your minuscule hitbox is, which comes in handy in a few of the dynamic camera sections of the game. 3 main inputs exist as well, which, since the title was developed for Xbox 360 first, is best done on a controller. The A button is mapped to attack. Holding it will engage any projectile weapons you may have, and tapping will engage any swords you might be carrying. Meanwhile, the B button will cycle through the 3 weapons your mecha is armed with. Just like in the classic shooter Einhander, the multiple weapons you have on you to start are able to be swapped out at will with different supplied and dropped weaponry. Care should be taken, of course, since the weapons collected will be picked up with the arm closest to it, indicated by an arrow. If the weapon picked up is an allied weapon, indicated by color, blue for Strania, red for Valor, it will be upgraded to a level 2 weapon. This is also their maximum level. There are all kinds of different weapons here, from Vulcans to reflective shots to lasers, missiles, a rather useless bomb, and more. Finding what works best for the player is half the fun, and with so many different ways to blow stuff up, it's guaranteed that everyone will find a combination that works best for them. For me, it's rockets and reflect with a sword backup. Finally, the Y button will engage the Overdose function, which grants the player invincibility for a short while. Useful for emergency defense, but also for getting up close and personal for a devastating attack. A circular gauge indicates how much of the overdose is left at a glance, and it cannot be used again until the gauge reads max in the top right-hand corner. The technique is very useful for avoiding very specific, unavoidable attacks. In addition, getting hit with a max gauge without attacking also activates Overdose by default. Strania is played over the course of 6 rather lengthy main stages, with a challenge that seems easy at first but can get pretty ridiculous later on. Collisions with enemies, bullets, and obstacles becomes more or less unavoidable starting in Stage 3 with a typical difficulty spike. With no easy option to speak of, players will really need to own their skills to get to the final stages without having to continue. For those that need a little extra help, extra armor slots can be enabled and extra credits can be unlocked with repeat plays, but unless the player is playing on the default setting, they will not be able to rank in on the online leaderboards. For those with the skill though, armor extents can be obtained by scoring high, and with a bit of practice, even average players should fairly easily see the end of the game on normal within the default settings. One new function added to the Steam version of Strania is the revival option, which kicks players back to a checkpoint when they die, rather than the beginning of the stage, which is handy. Online rankings are only considered when this function is set to on. Also included in the package is the Side Valor expansion, which was previously a downloadable add-on for the Xbox 360 version. It features a brand new 6-stage set played in reverse order from the Strania side. All of the features and mechanics are more or less the same, but the difficulty in Side Valor is much higher, or so it seems. The short of the long of it is, Strania the Stella Machina is just as fun to play now as it was on the Xbox 360 in 2011. It's not bullet hell, meaning it's more approachable on the whole, instead deriving its challenge from enemies attacking from all around your craft. Knowing where they come from and what weapons work best where will get players further, and it's a blast the whole time with a rock-solid frame rate to boot. There's just one tiny issue though. There are no VSync options, meaning you may have to enable them through your graphics card like I had to through the NVIDIA GTX 750. Another thing that I thought might have been a slight compatibility issue, but upon a second thought is actually a brilliant addition, is that Strania's music tracks don't play when a music player like iTunes is active on your system, meaning you can play the game with its effects in place while listening to your music instead of the OST. Otherwise, Strania is a winner. In Strania, there are a few different ways to get your score up to a decent amount very quickly. Enemy destruction is obvious, but how you choose to destroy them also results in bonuses. You'll notice that every so often, as you use various weapons, a pop-up will occur on your side of the screen. These are bonuses for weapon kills starting at 10th Q, or class, and working down to first with a higher and higher bonus attached, starting at 1,000 points. At first class, a 50,000 point bonus is awarded. Another way to boost up a player's score is to use the Overdose Technique. When using the Overdose, subsequent kills will rise in multiplied value from 1.1 times to 2 times. Using Overdose in crowded areas can rack up a ton of extra points in this manner. At stage end, a large bonus is also applied depending on your rank, which is determined by how many times you've been hit throughout the stage. Without getting hit, rank S can be achieved for the highest payouts. A time bonus is also awarded for how little of the limited time is taken to kill off the boss. All of these pointers should be able to get a player's score way up in no time with the right amount of skill. Last time we took a look at this game, presentation was pretty self-explanatory. There's awesome music and incredible visuals. The same pretty much applies here because once again, the environments, mechanical design, and especially the explosions in this game are simply jaw-dropping. For instance, so how does the Steam version of Strania, the Stella Machina, stack up? Let's take a look. Strania is a sharp, responsive game made super precise thanks to a tiny hitbox. Weapon controls are also intuitive. Easy at first and pretty hard on the other end, the challenge curve works well for a 6-stage set. 6 main stages on both the Strania and Vower sides makes for a game that lasts a while, especially when achievement hunting. Best explosions ever. That's all you really need to know. A smart OST takes a turn for the wild on the Vower side. Strania's music is fantastic all the way through. Obviously taking heavy inspiration from Mindhunter and its weapon setup, Strania is still plenty ingenious with its excellent weapon options, clever scoring, diverse stages, and challenging enemy patterns. If you somehow managed to miss the Xbox 360 version of Strania all the way back in 2011, this is the best time to get it. The higher resolution and new options plus the side Vower expansion thrown in for good measure? Strania the Stella Machina is a game you need on your PC without fail. Strania the Stella Machina gets a 4.75 out of 5. You can get your copy of Strania the Stella Machina on Steam today for just $15 US.